All right, guys, we're back. Episode 80 something. Like I keep saying that every week that I'm not going to keep count anymore, and I still keep count of it. But, anyways, welcome back. Thank you for listening. Thank you to those who have shared, liked, subscribed, viewed the podcast. Please continue to do that. It helps me get found on the algorithm, helps me maybe someday make money off of this. I'm going to be honest. It'd be cool to make money off doing a podcast, but it's a grind. So I'm here for it. I'm going to continue on. This podcast is probably going to be dropping on Wednesday, a little later than normal, just between the travel back from the show in New Jersey and some other things. I had some loose ends and some other things I had to do around the house and some other, family stuff. It's been a little hard to get the podcast recorded. Then I got to edit it. Then I got to send it in. So hopefully Wednesday it's up, and hopefully today is Wednesday and you're listening to it at this point. But anyways, if you're not following me yet on Instagram, it's at Special One Cards, at Special One ONE Cards. Appreciate all the follows, all the likes, all the questions, all the shares, all the everything on my reels that I've been getting lately. I keep pumping content out for a reason. There's a purpose to what I'm doing, and I think a lot of you guys appreciate it and have enjoyed it thus far. So, please, keep those messages coming. And here's another thing I want to do is I'm going to start actually asking some of you guys for ideas. And if you guys want to submit ideas on research of a particular card or a particular topic, anything of that nature, I'll be glad to do that because it provides good content for the hobby, right? If we don't inform people or not, they don't know what's going on. That's really important for collectors to be informed. So welcome to the 90 another episode this week, and we're gonna might have probably maybe 3 episodes this week. So this one, 2 more, depending on the other 2 scheduled ones. If I get those in on time and get them edited and do all that good stuff, it's a pretty exciting time here for me in doing all these podcasts. But anyways, wanna talk a little bit about the show this weekend, the All Soccer Cards and Collectibles Show of New Jersey. Fantastic event put on by Hooked on Soccer Cards and Anthony of Sack Cards. Give those guys a follow if you guys are not following them yet. Phenomenal event. The feedback's been great for me. I'll begin you with my journey. My journey began on Friday afternoon, about 3-ish, 3 o'clock. The goal was to get there, check into the hotel, get to dinner, not rush. I was meeting Hooked on Soccer Cards and a bunch of others for food at a Portuguese, what we would call a Portuguese fast food restaurant, right? Get on the road as soon as I leave my house in Connecticut, get on the Marriott, and of course I hit what? An accident. Literally 3 minutes away from my house when I could have easily, and I live near North Haven, that stretch there, Wallingford, North Haven. There's no exit between those two. So I couldn't avoid the accident, go around and avoid it and go a different direction. So I got stuck in that. So my trip that should be about an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. Sometimes I can get there an hour and 20 minutes if I'm really pumping it. Took about 4.5 hours, really, or 4 hours, 20 minutes, 4 hours, 15 minutes, really miserable drive. And then once you get into the city, you get in New Jersey during rush hour, you get stuck in traffic quite a bit. So pretty terrible way to start off the trip, the nice kind of weekend I was looking forward to in New Jersey at the card show. Get there, check in the hotel, shower up quickly, went over to Craven Barbecue, a Portuguese kind of fast food restaurant. I mean, when we talk fast food, we're not talking like McDonald's. We're talking kind of like, a nicer place. So not exactly like, we call it fast food because it's kind of fast food, but it's not, if that makes sense. And the guys that were there will know what I'm talking about. So there were a bunch of us that were there that were vending at the show as well. I got there just in time as they hadn't even ordered yet. So it was kind of perfect. Ate dinner. People enjoyed it. We had a good time. And then we kind of rushed out of there over to the trade night back at the hotel. The trade night was a lot of fun. I will say that. I brought no cards to the trade night. No cards. I purposely did that as I think I wanted to engage with people differently on a personal level, not on a card level. I really wanted to talk to people more and not pay attention to my cards, but pay attention to the person and their cards, if that makes sense. That was kind of my goal. I did bring one thing, though. I brought some beer. I brought some Treehouse to the trade night. I wish I had brought more because it seems like people enjoyed it. It was fun to bring that stuff. Some people have never had Treehouse, one of the best breweries in the country, up in Charlton, Massachusetts. So that was quite nice to kind of give people a chance to try it and give people some beers. And we actually had some at dinner too, which was fantastic. But But one of the highlights of the night, obviously, we saw Sack Cards, Anthony and Matt from Slabnomics. They opened up 2 boxes of 2006 World Cup Panini cards. That's right. And I think normally, I think the statistic on those is I think you might get one Messi and one Ronaldo, and no, it's actually 0.7. I think is what I was told. So you don't even have a guaranteed hit of either player in those boxes. And lucky for them, they both got one of each in each box. So fantastic boxes. And I think Hooked on Soccer Cards provided those boxes, obviously in a private sale. But it was fun to watch those guys open those. And it's kind of nice when you watch people open older wax. They take their time, and you start to look at those cards, and you realize how many really good players there were during that era. Zanetti, Ronaldinho, Cambiaso. There's just so many good players, Buffon, etc. But so many good players, and it's really cool to see an old box like that be opened, and just to witness what comes out of those. And all those boxes have gone up quite a bit recently in terms of price because the Messi stuff and the Ronaldo stuff is kind of taken off. And we'll go over those cards shortly on the card ladder index. I want to look at those two specifically again. But that was a great time. I actually went up to my room. It was probably 1:15 in the morning. Those other guys I heard stayed down there till 2:30 in the morning, which was quite interesting. Pretty fun for them, I guess. Next morning, of course, I was running late. Got up, took a shower, got in the car. It was probably about 8 o'clock. Moving was about 7:45, and I wanted to go out and buy some pastéis de nata from a Portuguese bakery. Problem was, I didn't realize it was on the other side of town from where I was going, so I wasted time going there. But it was worth it. I bought 3 dozen of those. People really enjoyed them, which was fun. And one of the things that was really cool about the community in there is like a lot of people, other dealers. Shout out to Cult of Wax Danny, who brought in Uruguayan pastries and desserts and types of that things. But a lot of people brought in stuff to kind of give to the community. I think that was really powerful, impactful, and because I think people value when you contribute like that more so. And it's not something that they're contributing to get something out of it. It's a contribution to the community, a contribution to the community that we all love, contribution to the community that we all partake in, and a contribution to the people that we may have never met, but we met online. So, and for me, that was really important, especially also, trade night, bringing those beers. I wanted to kind of, and I wasn't sure who was going to be there, but I wanted to make sure I put the names to the faces that I met online or talked online with or been at other shows before. I met a few people that were there, not everybody, but it was really kind of nice to get to know a lot of people that I've interacted with online because you basically become the relationship doesn't become different. It just kind of enhances it or matures the relationship more, which is fun. The only problem I have is I always refer to people by their Instagram names, which kind of sucks. I got to get better at that. And that requires me paying attention a little bit more in terms of names and name association. But that's like having 2 names, right? It's like me, I have 2 last names. It makes it complicated for people sometimes, but really good. So got those pastries, got there. It was probably about 8:30, 8:40. Now, mind you, the night before I said I was going to price all my cards, I priced nothing. I didn't price anything. And I recommend people price stuff. I probably would have sold more if I had stuff priced out, but I didn't price anything. Just for the pure fact is like if I didn't sell anything, I was fine with it. I just really want to engage with the community. I did sell some stuff. I did pretty well actually, which was fun. And I was happy to Hooked on Soccer Cards told me that Paulo he said that people comment that you have really good prices, and I do. And I think one of the things that I kind of pride myself on is if I'm not that much invested into the card, why can't I give somebody a really good deal that's a collector or whatever? Now, the one thing I do dislike is when somebody tells me they're a collector and then I find out they're flipping a card. It's happened now a few times. And I know those people are now. I have it in the back of my mind. I kind of made that self note. So just can't sell those cards cheap anymore because it's not, for me, it's not, I get it. Like I don't own the cards anymore, but why should I sell somebody a card for a really good deal when I can just keep it myself and sell it for more money? Get what I'm saying? Unless I know you're a collector, unless I know you are actually maybe holding it or whatever the case may be. I don't know. I don't know. I have a tough time with that. I kind of feel betrayed a little bit sometimes when that happens. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. But I didn't price my cards. cards did pretty well. I had a value box out. So it was like cards in there were probably $2 to $20. And then I put a case it card in there actually to see if anybody would go through it. And for the first 4 hours, nobody went through that box. Buddy. Probably through first 3 hours, maybe. Nobody went through that box. So I just pulled the case it out, put it back in the pile. And it was a Joe Neves hero case hit. I put it back in the Joe Neves pile and let it be as it was. Because if somebody had pulled that card out, whether it was a kid or an adult, they were getting the card for $1 to $2. That's how it is. But I got to meet a lot of you, which was really nice to kind of, again, put names to Instagram names, or names to faces, I should say. But that was really kind of beneficial for me, beneficial for the other folks as well. A lot of really good people, a lot of really good people. The case it was not found, so it got moved, like I said. But that was fun. I think if I do the show up in Canada, I think I'm going to do the same thing again. But it's not like you can actually put case hit on the value box, and people are going to go through it and try to find it. That's the problem. I think you have to just indiscriminately just put it in there, not let anybody know that's in there. And then somebody finds it, congratulations, you found the case hit. Or maybe I'll do something different, be creative. But I'm not sure if I'm gonna do that Canada show yet. As a vendor, at least. We'll see. Other thing is, another story I have to tell you is I had the Messi 2006 World Cup card and the Ronaldo in the case. I bought them there. My intentions were not to sell, but if somebody came over and asked about it, I would have entertained it. They've since gone out to grading on Monday, and so did my Nevs Immaculate. So we'll see how that does. Seems like it's going to 10, but we'll see. But, and mind you, the Ronaldo and the Messi cards looked really good. I think the Messi is going to 9. I think the Ronaldo is going to 10. Borderline 10, I think. Borderline 10, but it could be a 10 or it could be a 9 for the Ronaldo. But anyways, here's a story. 4 people come to my table, 4 different people throughout the day, asked me about the Messi card. It was in a mag, and I said, it's $475. Every one of them had the same response. I'll be back. They would walk away. Some of them would come back in 10 minutes. Some of them would come back in a half hour. Some came back in 40 minutes. They come back and say, I'll take the Messi. And I would look up at them and I would say, price has changed. And they would look at me and say, what? And I would say, price is different now. And what I was trying to do there, I was trying to really get people to understand the value of learning to believe in a card if you believe in the card, if that makes sense. If you believe in a card, you pay the money, you don't even look at comps. And to give you an idea, PSA 7 of that same card sold for $700, I think that day or the day before, and a PSA 8 sold for $800 plus 2 or 3 days before that. So somebody was getting a deal regardless if they had just taken the time and said, yep, here's $475, I'll take the card and go from there. That's a lesson. I think we always talk a little bit too much about comps. People are too comp driven, too comp heavy. Why are people not comping their value boxes? You ever wonder that? Why do people not comp their, like, I didn't comp my value box. I just look at cards and my perceived value is my perceived value. And if somebody agreed on what they were buying from me at the show, that's what they were buying from me. I think comps is a very saturated kind of idea and ideology. And I love Card Ladder, but again, not every comp is included in there. Private comps, card show sale comps. Think about the National. How many sales were done at the National or at SoCo? How many of those were actually input into Card Ladder? Probably none. Probably none. And maybe Card Ladder is going to come up with some kind of unique strategy on how to implement something of that nature. It could be something as easy having a dealer kind of a dealer affiliation where a dealer has some sort of, it's got to be really easy though, but so got to be really easy. So it's got to be convenient too. Kind of a dealer inputs the sale into Card Ladder, blah blah blah. But I don't really know how this gets done. But just an idea. But so there are some inefficiency in Card Ladder, Market Movers, any of those programs. I use Card Ladder quite a bit. It's a good basis. But again, comps are not comps. Your last comp is only as good as your last comp, if that makes sense. You know, why are we talking about comps? We shouldn't have to talk about comps. So if you're up at my table looking at that Messi for $475, and then you walk away to go see if you can find some more, and I think Anthony's Stat Cards had some, and I think Paulo too, of Hooked on Soccer did too as well. I don't think anybody else had any. Most of the stuff was modern at the show. But this is my idea on comps. If you believe in the card, you buy it. That's it. You know, there's a price there, you buy it. That's kind of the best kind of approach I take to things. I think it's important. The example I give you is my Chuck Liddell that I bought at a show a few weeks ago. One guy walks up to the table. The dealer tells him $40 for the card. The guy walks away. I said, I'll take it for $40. Why did I take it for $40? Because I know it's worth more than that, and because I believe in the card. Now, when I looked at comps later, yes, the card is probably comped at about $110, $130 recent sales. But I'm not thinking that way. I'm thinking further down the line, possibly. And I didn't even put that in my case this weekend, but comps are kind of, again, it's like, real estate, right? When you're buying a house or you're looking at houses, do you guys ever look at comps when you're buying a house? I don't think you do. We don't. Or when you buy in a stock, do you look at comps? Do you look at the comps? What did the stock trade for yesterday? You might actually look at that. But if you believe in the company, you're buying the stock regardless. So this is why I tell everybody is that comps and cards are really difficult to track, obviously, as a kind of and this is probably one of the problems why we're going to have a problem in terms of determining it as an actual financial asset class, because comps are not accurate. I keep looking at my mic to make sure it's still on. Comps are never accurate, or they're not accurate. Again, your last comp, if a card never sells, there's no comp on it. Or if a card continuously sells, is it the last comp? The last comp for went for $100 less, but 8 comps before it went for $400, $400 more. So what is it? Again, your perceived value is what's most important. Your perceived outcome for that card, or your mission, or your goal for that card is ultimately up to you. And for me, that Messi, for example, I bought that at a card show in a mag. It was in a case for 175 or 150. I can't remember now. Guy had in the case. It was like a basketball, football, baseball dealer. I said, I'll take that. I didn't even look at the card. Just bought it. I just bought it right away because I believe in the card. I believe in the card. And my problem was I probably should have looked at it. Luckily for me, it's in good condition. But if I had looked at it a little bit closer to make sure there were no corner issues, to make sure there's no surface issues, but I was fine with it. I bought it 175 because ultimately for me, it's a card I believe in long term. Regardless, even if it comes back at 10, maybe I sell it. I don't know. If it doesn't, maybe I keep it and hold it for my son or whatever. I'm Messi. The Ronaldo's the one I really want to hold. So, but regardless of what it is, I think it's important that you start to understand that your belief in a card or your belief in a specific player is more important than the actual comps or what the card sold for recently. Okay. Especially if you're kind of longer term. If you're just a flipper where you're trying to flip a card in a month, usually that stuff is tough to do as it is. So I just encourage you guys to kind of think about these things a little bit more instead of comping stuff out. I think those 4 people learned a valuable lesson that they could have had that card for $475, made really good money, and they were probably flippers. You can usually tell by that situation whether or not are flippers. So that was kind of a neat story. Next door to me was Pegasus Sports. For those that don't know Pegasus Sports, they have a store on Ferry Street, Newark. They sell soccer jerseys, and I recommend you guys check them out. They don't have an online site yet. You can call them and they can certainly fulfill your orders with shipping, etc. I talked to those folks, really nice people. They have a really nice stuff. I actually stopped there on the way back from the show to look for a João Neves jersey. I'd rather give them my money than give a big box store my money, but they didn't have any. Maybe I think the Neves stuff was sold out, which makes sense, or they had run out of numbers or whatever the case may be, but I'll be back there to get more stuff. Show was pretty good, 9-3. It was. I felt for me, my feedback on the show was that I wish it was longer. I wish it was a longer day, like maybe until 6 or something. And maybe that's something that we need to look into, having the show until 6 or something of that case, and then having kind of a dinner after, or a celebration, or kind of a banquet, or some type of thing where the community can still gather together again. And have kind of a dinner to celebrate it. Kind of make it like a real kind of trade show. There's, banquets have, I was in the trade show industry and conference world for a long time. They would have this show during the day, then at night they would have a nice dinner. That's something we'll talk about with Paulo. I'm working with him and Anthony to talk about some different ideas to help that show. So, and then, so for me, yeah, that was one of the big things. Also, was Paulo came through in the clutch with the bifana sandwiches, which is great. People love those. I had 2 of them because I didn't have breakfast that day, so that was huge. And that the Clark Recreational Center, they had 2 water machines right outside the venue, which was nice. No soda in that machine, which was good because I was kind of wanting a soda, but then I was like, you know what, this is better. So there was no soda in it, which was nice, which was really good behavior for them to push that onto the kids and the next generation. But anyways, the show had really good traffic. So when I talk about good traffic, I'm talking about like really, if you think about it, like a local show that has baseball, football, basketball, your typical like local show, but bigger, a bigger show, but with that kind of traffic. For us in Connecticut, it's like Enfield or Plainville. Those shows are usually pretty jam packed with people running around looking for stuff. But the show was big. It was very active. People were buying. I mean, I think I did almost. I don't remember what I did. I did a lot in sale, not a lot, but I did enough to be happy, to cover the fees and, all of that good stuff. And the feedback I got from other people was that it did go really well for them. So it was good to see that a lot of people buying, a lot of people people thought prices were really good. And that's part of the soccer community. I think the soccer community does a good job in terms of trying to take care of each other in terms of pricing, not being overly greedy, not being overly kind of, I don't know what the word for it is, but, not trying to rake somebody over the coals is what I call it. But generally, everyone was pretty happy. I didn't really pick up stuff. I did pick up. I made some trades, and I think I went over that on my live. But I shouted to Cincy Card Collective. They gave me gifts. They gave me a Carreras rookie card of 99. Really appreciate that gift, man. Thank you so much. Give them a follow. Also made some trades. Traded a Noarni checkerboard for a Merlin Gamers card. I've been talking about those cards quite a bit, so I traded for one of those. Nobody big on the Gamers card. I'm trying to think what else. I got an Adriano, an old Calcio card, which was cool. 2005, I think, if I remember correctly. Inter, really cool card. I just wanted the card, and the other guy wanted that specific card. So I didn't really buy much. I traded more than buy. I didn't really buy a lot. I actually didn't buy anything, I don't think. I just traded cards pretty much with people. So it was kind of cool to do that. And, the fun part about it is that it wasn't anything like substantial. It was like lower end cards that like I just like, and those people like those too. So, I think there's some value to that. I think it's important to continue to kind of develop and enhance those relationships when you can by doing that. And sometimes that's kind of like breaking bread, right? Figuring out, what each person likes or what they want to trade. That's kind of important. Again, I keep looking at my mic because it's still on, so it's good. All right, guys. Show was great. Leaving there, I felt like I didn't want to leave. It was kind of crazy. I sat there for a little bit in the parking lot as I FaceTimed my wife and my son, but um and I said, what am I gonna do now? I said, let's take a ride over to, it was like, I think it was 3:30, 4 o'clock. It was probably 4 o'clock. I said, let's take a ride to Pegasus Sports, and then I'll grab dinner, and then I'll head out of town and head back to Connecticut, because the trip back there was a lot quicker. So I went to Pegasus Sports to check it out. Like I said, really nice store. Highly recommend it. And on Ferry Street in Ironbound, which used to be basically Little Portugal. Still are a lot of Portuguese businesses there, just not as prevalent as it once was. I think most Portuguese people have kind of either gone back to their country or they're outside of the Newark area now more so. So still very famous for the Portuguese festival though in June. I highly recommend that too as well. Pegasus. Then I went to Pipo restaurant. Shout out to Tugas Cards who recommended the place to me. Hooked on Soccer Cards also gave it his stamp of approval as one of the best restaurants right now in Newark for Portuguese food. And let me tell you, what a fantastic place. I got there at probably 5 o'clock, which timing was perfect because that place was buzzing already. And then when I was leaving there, the place was like, there were people outside waiting to get in, waiting to go eat, very busy. So I sat at the bar, had a really good experience there. I wanted to drink a beer, but then I was kind of like, you know what? If I drink a beer, I'm going to be tired driving home, and I'm tired from all day of standing at the show and working at the show, that I probably shouldn't drink a beer. So I got my classic sumo. Didn't get an appetizer. I got the, which is, for those that don't know, octopus. I'm a big fan of octopus once it's cooked correctly. It's a fantastic dish. I was happy with the portion too. The portion was huge, huge. And I sat at the bar by myself having my dinner there. A few people there. I didn't know them, but I saw a gentleman with three other ladies, and he was kind of, I don't know. I don't know if he was drunk or what was going on there, but it was kind of interesting kind of situation because they're sitting at a table at the bar. It's one of those tables that's kind of at the connected to the bar, and I could kind of overhear what was going on, but it seemed like they'd been drinking a little bit too much. But either here or there, neither here nor there, but we've all done that. But really good food there. I'm looking forward to going there again next time. I think me and my wife are planning a trip down there in 2 weeks or so, probably during Columbus Day weekend. We might take our kid to the Paw Patrol Academy at the American Dream Mall in New Jersey, so that should be fun. So dinner was good. Got in the car. It took me about an hour and a half to get home, which was great. Not much traffic. Only by the GW Bridge did I hit some traffic, and that's kind of normal actually. And then you hop on over there the cross line. No, not the cross line. Hutchinson Parkway, I think. Yeah. to get on the Merit, and I was home in an hour and a half. And I could definitely, when I was about 35 minutes away, I could definitely feel I was tired. I started to feel really tired. And I was kind of like, man, I gotta get home. So got home. Lucky for me, no dog. Dog was at doggy daycare, dog boarding. My wife and son were in Maine, so I kind of had the night to kind of rest, and then woke up the next morning to go pick up my dog. So that was my kind of weekend in a nutshell. It was a lot of fun. I wish it should have been a little bit longer. I'm not sure it needs to go to 2 days. Some people have been recommending 2 days. I think 1 day is probably good enough. But I think if we extend the times from like 9 to 6, or even 10 to 7, or 10 to 6, something of that nature, I think we'll see a lot of fruits of the labor there and see even more attendance. The other part of it is that I'm going to talk to those guys a little bit more, but marketing wise, we probably could have done a little bit more. And again, having come from the trade show and conference industry, marketing for an event of this nature and of this size probably needs to start about 6 months out. So that's what I'm going to recommend, to get more people there, get more vendors, get more kind of engagement from the crowd, attendance, get more people to the event, basically, and I think that'll be crucial. I'll continue to do some things to help promote that event. I think it's important that we all promote the event for the community. If we can make it easier, we will make it easier. I have some ideas, and I'll talk to those guys before I even share those publicly with everybody. So that was in a nutshell a fantastic weekend, a Friday, kind of a 24-hour kind of trip to New Jersey for that show. A fantastic time. I had a really good time meeting many of you guys there. It was great to engage with all of you. Really important for me to actually meet some of you that I've talked to online, and sell you guys some cards too as well, and trade too as well. That was important. So I had a good time. And then Sunday was kind of rest, relax day on the couch, watch football, and then we went from there. And then Monday, I started to look at some stuff that I got to send into grades. I'm hoping, I know the bulk stuff will never be back in time for Canada, but I think some of the better stuff will be back. So, and I'm still waiting on that order. I know some of you submitted cards with me a while back. We're still waiting. They're in assembly right now. So hopefully that gets done quickly and soon, and we can get those cards back. But they've been in assembly for about a week now, so hopefully within the next week and a half, they're ready, and they're ready to bring back. All right, let's take a quick look at the indexes. I want to look at 1 week, actually. I don't want to look at, I'll look at the month after, but I want to look at 1 week. And you'll be shocked to see that soccer is no longer the number one spot. And for sports, golf is number one, and last week football is number two, basketball is number three. It seems like we're going back to our normally scheduled program. And soccer is actually down 16%, the worst performing in the last week. All right. Was it a bubble? I don't think so. I think this is just kind of, but if we look at over a month, soccer is still fifth here. So you got golf, Culture 51, SX 100 Index, One Piece, and soccer. What is this One Piece? I don't know what this says. I've never seen this before. What this says? One Piece. What are the cards in the One Piece? Oh, okay. It's supposed to be just a separate index. I'm not even going to count them. I apologize if I don't know what I'm talking about here, but soccer over the last month has still performed really well. As you can see, 3-month change, soccer's number one, 128%, as you can see there. 6-month change, soccer's number one, 146%. Year to date, soccer's number one, 149. So don't get discouraged by this 16% here. You see on my screen right there? That's not a big deal. It's fine. I wouldn't worry about it too much. But that's the index for the last month. Anything of substantial, and there's the kind of the chart. You'll see the chart here on the screen. So you have a little dip right here, but it's not a big deal. It's fine. I wouldn't worry too much about this. This is actually today, October 1st. Parallels here, so I wouldn't worry too much about this. In terms of cards and the index, kind of want to look at some of these. I'm curious as to look at, oh, here's a Ronaldo. One thing I forgot to talk to you guys about at the show. Sunday League Investor, shout out to him. He did a break of the 2003 Panini Mega Cracks Portugal set. And I think it was $500 a pack. And they were looking for these Ronaldos in those packs. Ended up pulling one. So somebody was lucky enough to get one. Wild that a break was even done like that. Only at the All Soccer Cards and Collectibles show of New Jersey, did we see that? Amazing. And it turns out he did pull one. And it seemed like I heard that it was really nice, and you heard people screaming. That's how exciting it was. I think the guy that did pull it was on Whatnot, so wasn't even at the show. It would have been more effective. It would have been, I guess, I would have preferred it to be at the show. Somebody at the show that won the card or pulled the card would have been really awesome. But it is what it is. It's fine. In terms of the cards, and I kind of want to look at. Here's the. Let's see. Let's take a look at Holland. Actually, just out of curiosity, I want to see what these Hollands are doing. Yeah, they've gone up kind of quietly, $50. Back on July 7th, and then let's see what it says here. $85, pretty good increase. So you're starting to see, and here's the Mbappe's base chrome refractor, and this same situation. July 9th, $40, and now it's about $84. So even the lower end stuff is starting to move, which is really important. This card is going bananas. It's up to $9,250 last sale. You could have had this card on August 10th for $3,250. It's not $9,250. I hope mine comes back. I hope mine gems. We'll see. It would be really great if it gems, but rate of growth 184%. Really crazy. The amount of change it's seen since July is really bananas. And if you look at this, let's change the date a little bit. Let's have a little more fun. Some people don't like that fun because they think they sell things too early. No sales to display. That's strange. Oh wait, no. You know what I did here? This is what I did wrong. I didn't add the second part of the date. Let's do this. Look at that. So March 16th, you could have the card for $23.99. Seen a 285% rate of growth. Wild. And this is now secretly, don't tell anybody I told you guys this. I'm not going to post anything about this, but this is a card, a sticker, I should say, that you should keep your eyes out on. I knew this was going to happen. I told people about this, and we're still not quite where it was, or actually we're kind of close to where it was. So it was expensive back in early part of January, but if you had bought this card back in July and August, you paid $208. It just sold for $420, and I think that was on the Fanatics Collect auction. Actually, this was one I was looking at. I could have bought two of these at about $300 the weekend of the show, and I didn't buy them because I was kind of waiting to see what this auction was finishing at, and I made a mistake because the guy took those down from Fanatics Collect, so I kind of burned myself. So I just bought one raw, and I hope it tens, but we'll see. It's really hard to gem those stickers. These stickers are the gold ones, to show you guys know. I think this is one of those cards that people should really look at in terms of a potential card to buy, or sticker, I should say. Total population on this card is 90 for PSA 10s. I think this is a really important, excuse me, if you don't start identifying patterns in this hobby, you're going to get yourself into trouble, especially if you're a flipper, especially if you're somebody who's investing, that type of thing. You need to identify patterns because patterns have historical insight into what has happened in the past. Look at the Ronaldo and the Messi. Let's look at, actually, while we're here, that's what we're going to do. We're going to look at the Messi sticker. If you think about it, you know, Mbappe was what, 5 minutes away from winning 2 World Cups and preventing Messi from winning his World Cup. So let's see here. Let me see if I can find the Messi sticker. And this is why patterns are important, and identifying opportunities is important. If you can identify opportunities and kind of follow patterns and how they work, you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, keep in mind that Mbappe just sold for $420. It has a Pop 90 PSA 10, and it is a gold version. Here is the Messi 2006 Panini World Cup sticker, 2,500. Pop is 134. Okay, 134. So that's 3x Mbappe's population count for PSA 10s, but Mbappe's is only worth 400 in the gold version. His base is like, I think, $125, which is comparable to this. Mbappe's base sticker, I'm trying to think. I think the pop count on that's a lot higher, just because of the generational part of it. So I would focus on the gold one if I was any of you. If you're looking to buy, if you're looking to something to, and this is not financial advice, but I think this is the gold sticker is probably the one to have for Mbappe. The other one is nice too. I just don't see that climbing to the level that the Messi sticker has, just because it's older. I mean, things are like, here's a gold one that just sold for $10 raw. You know, I don't know if we look at this, let's take a look at it, just see what it looks like. That corner looks beat up top. There's some whitening up there, and that's the problem with some of these golds. See the whitening up top there, right there. A lot of whitening right there, right at the top of the sticker. So somebody bought one because they want for the collection, whatever the case may be. But the Mbappe, here's a PSA 10, the Mbappe regular sticker. Let me go back down here, actually. This is a better version right here. PSA 10. These prices have come down a little bit. They're usually going for $100. That's a PSA 10. The sticker's a black back. There's a pink back also. This one was the black back. I think it was the US version, or more prevalent in more places. But this sticker, and I'm trying to see what the pop count on these are, 1,498 pop count. So there's a lot more of these than the Messi, the regular sticker. These will not gem. Again, I mean, these are getting older now too. Will they hit $2,500? Probably not, because a lot of people graded these. But do they become a liquid card where you can move it more frequently than something else? I think so. I believe so as well. This is probably, I think for me, it's probably in the range of a, I suspect we won't see the population count move much, but I would suspect this is probably on a really good day. If he wins another World Cup, it's probably a $500 to $600 sticker. I think if he wins another World Cup, and even up until the World Cup, is probably going to move anywhere from $100 to $200. The PSA 10, the base kind of sticker version. So, something to think about. And I haven't posted on Instagram about that, but I will eventually. But I kind of don't want to post stuff on Instagram until I deliver it to you here first. So you guys are going to be the first ones to know. All right. So a few things to learn there, right, is that, market, even though it was down 16% in a week, it's not really a good sample size. It's very small, but overall the year has been very good. One of the things I want to talk to you guys about today too, and I'm not going to do a prospect deep dive. I want to talk to you guys more about something I've been taking a look at. And I don't need to share the screen anymore. But there's some cards that I've been looking at, and it's in terms of the Mbappe market. I think it's important to look at, to think about, specifically an insert that's out there. So I'm going to talk about the stained glass. Stained glass inserts, you have to actually start to wonder if there's an opportunity with the first year stained glass. So first year stained glass, I'm going to share my screen again. Let's see here. And I'll go into why this is important for you guys to know. So first year stained glass. We're going to look at some of these. We're going to look at stained glass sales regardless for Kylian Mbappe. He's the example I'm going to use for now. 24-25 Panini Select FIFA. Stained glass. PSA 10 sold for $850. 23-24. PSA 9 sold for $305. So that seems like there's a little uptick there. This one, I'm not sure what that is. Doesn't really say. 24-25 stained glass. Real Madrid Kylian Mbappe. Raw 238. 2023 480. 24-25 stained glass. Case hit 160. Why am I talking about this? And I'm not talking about this because of all these different stained glasses. If I look at stained glass, right, let's look at, for example, we'll look at these here. We'll look at 23-24 Select FIFA stained glass on my screen. I'm going to pull that up right now for you guys to look at, just so you guys get a better understanding of what I'm looking at here. And so you understand exactly what I want to show you guys. So I just got the chills there. 324 Panini stained glass. Here's the pop counts. Ready? 98 total, 136 PSA 10s. And I'll do a chart for this for Instagram, I think. And you look at some of these players on here: Ronaldo, Messi, Mbappe, 17 total, graded 4 10s. Now, here's what I'm going to come back to. 2020 Panini Mosaic Euro stained glass. Total population 341. Let's look at this again. Let's look at the Kylian Mbappe on here specifically. Let me see if I can find him. Where are you, Kylian? Was there not a stained glass last year for him, or 2 years ago? They passed him already? Oh yeah, there he is, right there, right in front of my face. So here's Kylian Mbappe, right? Stained glass, 17 graded, 4 PSA 10s, and this is for 23-24. Okay. If we start to look at kind of like the kabooms, right? I always talk about kabooms having a bigger value when it's first year kabooms. First kabooms are very important. And I'm kind of like looking at something here because I think we need to start looking at stained glass as kind of important. And maybe some of you don't realize this, but stained glass first year came from 2020 Panini Mosaic. So we're looking at nearly 6-year-old cards at this point, 5-year-old cards. But here you'll see total population of this is 341. So about the same as the other set that's newer. What does that tell you? That tells you that these are a lot less abundant. And the Mbappe in this set, the first Mbappe stained glass only has a population of 40, and these are nearly 5 to 6 years old. There's only 25. Let me see here. The 25 PSA 10s, 25 PSA 10s. It's a pretty low pop when you think about it. Very low. So I actually grabbed one recently. I just think this is potentially a card. Whether you're a collector, if you like Kylian Mbappe, you obviously want the card. But if you're a flipper or if you're buying it for an investment purpose, for my purpose, it was more of an investment purpose. I bought a raw to see if I can get it to gem, and then maybe hold it for up until the World Cup, or maybe or take the gamble and see if he wins the World Cup. But it's a first year Mbappe stained glass, and a lot of these guys, their first year. These are the first time these cards were issued for these players. First time Mosaic, first time Panini ever issued stained glass for soccer was in 2020 Euros, a Euro Mosaic. So look at the checklist: Alaba, De Bruyne, Vlasic, Jankto, Eriksson, Sancho, Pukki, Mbappe, Luka Modric. So some of these guys are probably kind of irrelevant to you. Kalmar, Belotti, De Jong, Elmas, Lewandowski's one, Ronaldo's another one. Oliver Burke, Mernchuk, Hamsik, Ferran Torres, Kulusevski, Shaqiri, Hakan Kalholu, Milan's player there. Let's see. Gareth Bale's got one in here. Lukaku, Marcus Rashford, Griezmann. Trincão's even got one for the Portuguese collectors. Barella, Ansu Fati. So there's your checklist. So there. Let's put it this way: there aren't exactly a lot of elite players there. There's probably 3: Messi, Ronaldo, and Mbappe. Your elite guys. The other guys are all kind of good little players. Like Luka Modric's a legend, right? But he's not on the level of those guys. So these are important, I think. Even these guys are lesser known. I think future down the line, this is how you have to. This is what I mean by patterns. You need to start to think about, what are people going to want down the road, especially if you're a flipper, or if you're like, well, I shouldn't use the word flipper for that because flippers are more short term. But I think it's important for you to start to think about that, because that's where opportunities are made, is with that type of stuff. So I want to look at the sales from the stained glass from 2021. And before Mosaic, Serie A had stained glass as well. So it came out of that. And there are some cheap ones you can get too for those cards coming out of there. And again, I'm not going to post this on my Instagram yet. It seems like people lately have taken what I post and just gone ahead and done it without even doing their own research, which is crazy. But here's Mosaic. Stained glass sales from the last, let's say, there hasn't been a lot sold here. Wow, they really don't come up very often. Really interesting. There's an Mbappe. It's over $249 back in April of 2024. I actually just bought one cheaper than that. That's for sure. You also have here's Barella, right? So some really nice cards, and they're actually beautiful. I think these are one of the nicer ones. Initially, I did not like these, but now I really like them. Those cards are beautiful. And then Merlin, of course, ripped it off and created the Renaissance. So, I think these stained glasses present an opportunity. They were a little tougher to pull before. There's less of them. It's the first time, first year kabooms for me. I always talk about that, how important it is to have first year kabooms. I think stained glass just hasn't caught up yet. It will eventually. We saw Kaboom when it first came out, guys, just so you know. They were expensive, but they weren't that expensive as they are now. I suspect this is going to happen with stained glass too. I don't see why it won't. Becomes kind of again, patterns. Discover patterns and understand patterns. That's important. Here are some other case hits of stained glass that we can look at. Racing Kurt Busch, 99 cents. Like, what's going on here? That's 2020. So that's been in other products, but you guys get the point. I'm actually looking at the stained glass now, insert with a little bit more respect in terms of where there's an opportunity. Again, patterns are important. Think about refractors from the 90s, right? And this is an episode I'm going to cover probably next week or later this week. 2014 Prism and why those silvers are so important. Think about the refractors from the 90s, how important those are today, and why they are so valuable. They're incredibly valuable in PSA 10s. So, once history happens, history repeats itself always in sports cards. It's just how it goes. Products released that day, they're expensive. Then the prices drop every time. Every time. So sometimes you got to be on the right side of, that's why I refuse to get into breaks lately or none at all, because I know I can get that cheaper down the line, or I can just buy the singles 4 to 5 months later cheaper. So that's kind of the advice I give people, is to kind of stay away for a little bit. It's important. But I think that is going to do it for this episode, guys. I know it's kind of a different episode with this show that came up, and then we talked a little bit about the stained glasses and the pop counts and things of that nature, and why it's important to understand patterns. And then we just had a good time, and I hope you guys had enjoyed the episode. I hope to give me a feedback. Send me a message on Instagram. Tell me what you guys think about this episode. If you guys wanted me to continue to do this like data dive, I'm gonna full warning now is I'm not gonna be posting stuff on Instagram before I talk about it on the podcast. I may wait like a week or two until I post it on Instagram, or I'm gonna post reels on Instagram that are short, but they don't deliver like all of the information that you're looking for. So that's to encourage you to listen to the podcast, obviously, and I thank you for doing that, and to encourage more people to listen to the podcast. So if you guys could review it, like it, share it, subscribe it, tell your friends about it. I really want to get this algorithm be even pumped up even higher and be even bigger this coming year with the World Cup coming up. It'll be huge. But until next time, guys, take care of everybody you love, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you for support, guys. I appreciate all of you. Take care.